everybody just a couple of minutes. How many items do we have to go through?
All I have is what's getting released today.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Is how many new items do we have for this month?
Oh, we have 6 modules releasing with code changes this month. Active Directory, CS DSC, Certificate DSC, Networking, Security Policy, SQL Server, and X Exchange.
Awesome.
And then there's also a list of, I think, like 9 or 10 modules that are getting released just without the extra Git files that got, I think, put out in the last 2 releases. I'm thinking because apparently the problem came when we updated NuGet on the machine that the modules release from, and that included it started including some Git files that have been causing people problems. So I'm re-releasing everything that's gone out in the past 2 releases just by manually removing all those Git files. So I think that's 9 or 10 of these. I'm doing Audit Policy DSC, DFS DSC, Computer Management, maybe SharePoint, I'm not sure yet. Storage DSC, X Active Directory, X BitLocker, X Failover Cluster, X Hyper-V, and X Web Administration.
Wow.
And if anyone knows of any other modules that got released with this problem, please let me know. And I can add those to the list to go out as well.
I see Daniel joined.
Yeah, hey guys, sorry for being late.
Hey, no problem.
So I just caught the tail end of what Katie was saying. I think you were saying about the those modules that got that ended up with I think the tests were in them. Is that right?
There were Git files released in them or something.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I did it. I loaded them all in. The ones I found, I loaded them all into the issue that was raised on the resource kit.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at that too. I think it's just everything that went out in the last 2 releases though. And I'm hoping everything before that is okay.
Cool. Yeah, it seemed a bit random. I couldn't find a pattern as to why they happened.
Mm-hmm.
And for SharePoint DSC, you've got not sure on this one, but Nick is on the call. He may have details.
Oh yeah, Nick, do you want me to do a new release of SharePoint DSC without those extra Git files?
Actually, I'm going to have to talk to Yorick on that one. I'll send you an email by the end of the day, Katie,
Okay.
on that. I just need to check with Yorick.
Yeah, I don't want to release any new changes you guys aren't ready with, so.
Perfect, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. For any of the modules in the list in the IM window, if for the maintainers who are on the call, if you'd like to speak to any details, especially around breaking changes or what functionality is being added, just go ahead and jump in. Daniel, you probably
yeah, I was going to say,
looking at the list, a lot of those look at it towards you.
Yeah, I know there's a breaking change on networking DSC because we've deprecated one of the resources and combined it in with a bunch of others. We have a whole lot of duplicate functionality for things like RSS and RSC on the networking. So those have all been merged. So there's a resource that's been deprecating, which is why there's a breaking change on there. The other ones, computer management, I don't think there's a breaking change on that one. Yeah, the rest of them are fairly minimal, and storage DSC is fairly straightforward as well.
Cool. What's new in storage DSC? That's a popular one.
There's nothing. I don't think there's anything new. It just needs to get released without those Git files.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Look, I'm on my phone, you see, so I'm
No problem.
Yeah. There's a bunch. Actually, the thing is, there's also a bunch of changes waiting to go through for networking DSC and storage DSC as well that I've made, but I haven't. Johan's been on leave and getting settled back into his previous role, I think, so he hasn't been able to do any reviews for me lately. So
sure.
I'm just waiting. Got a bunch of changes backed up there. So I'm imagining those won't happen this release, but hopefully the next release, because there's quite a few of them.
Nice.
There's a bunch I've got to finish up with computer management DSC as well, around scheduling and bringing in the new language resource, which I want to try and get those reviews completed, but they're quite large changes, and the guys working on them is quite busy, so that's just taking a little bit longer than I'd ideally like. There's just a couple of questions. I think there's a couple of changes or a couple of requests out in PSDSC resources. Katie, yes. Do you know, are you guys, yep. Do you want us to jump in and have a look at those once we've got some spare time?
You're reading my mind, because as you were talking, I was just thinking, I should probably speak to PSDSC resources. So we had a meeting about this on Monday, and there's definitely, especially since Johan isn't working on the resources as part of our team anymore, then there's obviously been this gap for the last few months. So we're coming up with a plan. I think short term, I'm going to put some time into going through the issues list and the PRs that are incoming, and at least going through them to see if there's any that I can act on. I'm also happy to be a reviewer. If anybody needs an extra one, you're welcome to tag me for things outside of PSDSC resources. I think what we're going to end up doing is trying to have our team, maybe, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, maybe something like one day a month. We'll try to have our team collectively put time towards this, just to make sure that we're not, because right now I think we've got like 20 plus issues and more than a handful of PRs. So we're coming up with a plan to address it. I'd like to say that we'll try to get those closed by the next call. Especially some of them have had very active discussions, and some I think people have a couple places where they're blocked. So I want to just basically prioritize them, figure out a plan for how we're going to address them, and then we're trying to figure out if we're going to be able to open up a contract position again, or if we're going to try to do something more systemic, where maybe we'll take a fixed number of DSC resources and like take on a more active role in their maintenance, and just have someone dedicated to that. So we're by the next call, I hope to have a pretty concrete plan, and hopefully actually be able to report on progress.
I can say that for both PSDSC resources and XPS desired state configuration, they both have a release blocker on the archive resource right now, because I think some functionality changed with the latest PowerShell update, and those both need to be fixed before I can release either of them.
Okay, well, I'm happy to put some time and have a look at those as well. I've got some spare time this weekend, so. And because the other changes I've got going through are just sort of in networking and storage, just waiting on Johan, so I can have a look at the other stuff.
Cool.
I was going to say also question the main DSC resources repo. There's a bunch of PRs. I think Michael, you got one through waiting on that as well. At the moment, no one's got merge permission on that. So, is there any thinking on what to do about that one?
No one has merge permissions into DSC resources?
The main module, you've got I think a PR outstanding to update the community call information.
Oh yeah.
And I've reviewed it, but I can't merge it, and I don't think you can merge it either. So
I can merge it.
Katie, you're the only one you can merge it. So yeah, we just need to get you to merge those. And I was going to do a little bit of a refactoring on the community call list to put the dates into ISO, one of the ISO date formats, because they're sort of a bit out of order.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like there's at least the first one and the third one. The third one says it's on hold. I'll have to look at details. And I'll have to look at what the
Yep.
second one is and why it's abandoned. The fourth one is
Yeah.
mine. It's been there for like almost a year. I got really good feedback on Update Services DSC. I just need to go back and implement the changes, and then we can merge that one in. And I just haven't had a forcing function to take that on yet, but I will.
The PR to update the community calls. I think that one might be out of date because I've updated the community agenda since this.
Got it.
So that maybe you need rebase or whatever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can rebase. It might.
Cool.
We might actually. Okay, I'll actually. This is really good, Daniel. Thank you. I will review whether or not Katie's changes fix what I was submitting anyway, because I think that next step was to change the date-time format. It might be possible to just skip on to that task, to go to the ISO 8601.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I mean, it should be fairly straightforward. It's just a rename.
So I'll review what I had proposed and what's there now. We might be able to just close this one as it's already fixed. So I'll take a look.
Cool.
Okay, and then we'll want to take a look at the one about the license file.
Yeah, I think that's been happening to all the resources.
Got it. Okay. Did anybody join the call with open questions or requests for new resources or anything that we haven't covered in regards to what's changing this month?
Yes, I've got an unagended item. I'm Stu Mace. My handle is Koalika. I asked a question on the Active Directory CS DSC resource about adding some extra resources. There's a third-party component that we've used in the past called PSPKI. It's Vadim's massive module of PKI goodness. And I wondered whether it's possible to include any of that code given licensing constraints and so forth. It's licensed under a mixture of the MSPL license for most of it and the MIT license for the remainder. But I guess I was concerned about using the code because would he need to sign a CLA as well? It's issue number 13 on the Active Directory CS DSC. I'll just pop it in the chat. Hang on.
Yeah, thank you. So I was trying to find it. Oh, here it is.
Has anyone managed to see how drop off the call?
Who dropped?
Dan, I dropped off.
Oh, sorry. Well, there's a link in the IM window. I can drop it in here again in case it got lost in the drop and rejoin. We're just looking at issue number 13 for Active Directory CS DSC.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, so I know the one you're talking about. No, that's right. I said to Stu, it was probably one we want to raise up in the call, whether there's any problem with it, because I mean, using this, because theoretically we could just add a dependency on PSPKI as part of the manifest and just have that installed. We don't necessarily need to distribute it with the resource module itself. So I think my comment was, yeah, let's raise it up at the community call.
I would agree. If we're not adding the source code to the module, we're just calling it, then of course the one thing to be aware of is that if it changes, we want to make sure we're referring to a static reference of the module, and then like someone will have to kind of keep an eye out for if there's updates to PSPKI, then we update the static reference. Otherwise, it can introduce a breaking change. But Yeah, I don't see a licensing issue per se because it would just be setting it as a dependency and then calling it.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
Oh, wow, this is really thorough.
It is, isn't it? It's amazing.
That's awesome. Cool.
Michael, do you know if we have to register with the open source team at Microsoft, though, that we're using a third party?
It definitely wouldn't hurt. Since it's a community since Active Directory CSDSC is community maintained, then I don't think there's any hard requirements, but it won't hurt. I can do that.
Awesome. Nice.
Cool.
So, Mike, will you load the output, or Katie, are you able to put the comment of what you find out from your team into the issue, and then we can, Stu can start following up from there.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll ask the open source team about it.
Yep. It never hurts. Thank you, Stu, for joining and raising that issue. That's a really good one.
No, my pleasure. If you can get some more of that capability in that resource, it would be really helpful.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Any other open questions? The only thing I wanted to add on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Andy. I just saw the invite from Katie's tweet earlier, and it's still early on in evaluating sort of DSC and where we're going to potentially go with it. Is there a place where the agenda for this call might be posted online so I have a better idea for that?
So in the GitHub repo for DSC resources, there's a community agenda file, but I don't think we got a chance to update it for this month before the call started.
Yep.
It's just, oh, okay. I see that it had the date.
Yeah, I don't have like an agenda document up yet. I just have the date and the link to the call up.
Yeah. So just in general, if you don't see an agenda file, yeah. So we don't have a month. We don't have like an occurrence folder under the community calls yet for this month. In general, if you don't see one, our agenda is always to go through what will be released this month. Typically, like anyone who maintains a DSC resource that has the ability to join the call, will go over any breaking changes that are coming out in the new version, where if your configurations are set to always use the latest version and you're just downloading the latest module, just something to look out for in case it might require changes in the configurations. And then we just open the floor to anybody who would like to discuss work items, requests for resources, or just questions about DSC in general.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
And thanks for that link. I'll bookmark that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I was going to add, so, we've been working hard on, kind of the DSC v2 or the next generation of DSC. And I've mentioned in the past in several blog posts the progress we're making on using that in solutions in Azure. I do anticipate that in the next few months, I don't know if we'll have it in preview or not by the next call, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that we'll be hopefully opening the door to more use of some of the community DSC resources for auditing settings inside of Azure VMs. So I don't have any docs yet on that or anything. It's still something that's not yet in preview. It's something we're working on. But the general idea would be that you could use custom content whenever you're doing compliance work in Azure VMs. And the reason I wanted to bring it up here, it's really the first solution in Azure that's based on this new DSC platform, where the door will be open to the community, like using custom content and bringing DSC into a whole new set of solutions that hasn't existed before. So I'll be doing, once we're ready to start doing testing, I'll be doing lots of tweeting and blogging and things like that about it. We're still not ready to open source the DSC v2 platform yet, but we're definitely going to be looking at like what are the new resources that are interesting for compliance, and bringing those as open source projects around if there are differences needed from what's in PSDSC resources. So we haven't even decided if we're going to create a new repo for those or what it's going to look like yet. It's still work in progress, but just a heads up for everybody who's passionate about DSC that
Awesome.
in the near future we'll be broadening out, and you'll be able to take your skill set into some new areas.
That's really cool. Is there any thought, because Azure Automation, DSC is now Azure Automation State Configuration. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So going to be any rebranding on DSC as a whole, or is it's just still called DSC?
As we shift over into this compliance area, tentatively, so the resource provider in Azure is the guest configuration resource provider. I'm leaning towards guest configuration as sort of an overall brand, but that would actually encompass more than just DSC. It would basically be like DSC as an enabling platform for all kinds of things. So I don't want to say like rebranding DSC itself. It's more like introducing an umbrella where DSC would be one of the components.
That's cool.
It's a complicated answer.
It's still really exciting. I'm really keen to get a look at the DSC v2. New LCM.
Yeah. Yep, as are we. Okay, great.
So will you be writing any blog posts on the new LCM? Because
yes.
I know you did one last year, to be an updated one.
Yes, so I've been trying to do them every 6 months, so I need to do it this month. I've kind of been waiting until we put some final touches on the work we're doing now, and then be able to have like something more concrete about when we expect to be able to start using community resources in some of these compliance areas. So within the next couple of weeks, but definitely within this month, I'd like to get a new blog post out with just the status, especially as we get to where we can start using more of these community resources and compliance areas. There'll be a lot of testing, and I don't expect it to go perfectly, of course, but that's where it'll be like really, really important to get information out. So there's definitely going to be some blog posts coming, and probably videos and that kind of stuff too.
Oh, fantastic. That's very cool.
Michael, question on the new LCM. Would you expect it to be a breaking change for integration with the likes of Ansible, Chef, Puppet in terms of the way they call invoke DSC resource at the moment?
Yeah, it'll probably, yes.
Okay, awkward. I'll just wait to hear.
Yeah, so it's less about it being a breaking change and just being a different platform entirely. So what we'll probably lean on is like continuing using the V1 platform for that extensibility solution until we figure out, because right now this new LCM is really being used for Azure solutions. And so it's not something that we'll easily be able to like take out of those solutions and snap into other solutions. At least right now. I'm not saying that that door is closed, but that's what we're using it. That's how we're designing it in the solutions that's being used right now. So it's not so much that it's a breaking change. It's just an area that we haven't designed around yet, if that makes sense. So we'll keep using the V1 platform for that extensibility model right now.
And I hate to keep asking the newbie questions here, but you mentioned blog posts and whatnot. Do you have a URL that I should be following with that?
Yeah, definitely. Let me pull it up here. It is blog.msdn.com/PowerShell, and I will put that in the IM window.
Got it.
And then the other thing I'll put in here
yeah, I think I've been there.
Is where the recordings of these get published. That'll end up in the DSC repo as well. But we publish other things out here as well on this YouTube channel. In fact, as we get going over the next couple of months, like I've done 4 videos on using Azure Policy guest configuration, which is, so right now that these 4 videos that are Azure Policy guest configuration, and then it walks you through each phase, that is the new DSC platform. It's just using built-in policies. It's not custom content yet. So whenever it's checking to see if applications are installed or not installed, or password policies, or the whether TLS 1.2 is being used in IIS, that's all the new DSC platform doing the work. It's just that we're not open to custom content quite yet. When we do, then that's where things will get more interesting, because you'll be interacting with it more at the DSC level.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
So from a hybrid perspective, that's still a ways away, since your V2 is Azure focused at the moment.
Exactly. We do have a long-term plan around hybrid. And I'm not saying long-term in terms of years. Hybrid is a scenario we want to get into, but I can't talk about that one quite yet, because it'll be a whole new thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hopefully, I would love to be able to by PowerShell Summit. I actually have a to-do item on my list to see if I can get the PM for that area to join me in a session at PowerShell Summit.
Cool.
Am I right in understanding that the majority of the resources will work with the new LCM, or what level of?
I don't know yet. We've had really good results so far in testing, but I don't know. We're trying to get some test automation together to go through and just do a quick automated review, and then be able to do like a report.
I mean, they all work. We're just determining if there might be something extra you could add to them that would make them more helpful. But they all work as they are right now. Yeah.
Cool.
Whenever I do that, you guys are giving me some good clues on what to blog about, though. Like, I really need to break down exactly how the platform works. This will all be stuff that we have to document for the custom content solution anyway. So maybe what I should do is, before the next call, just prepare a draft that we could go over together, and then that would help get the right information out. You know what I could even do is submit. I can always just tweet about it, like get a draft going of the documentation whenever we get closer to the preview. And obviously for the maintainers, I can just reach out. But it would be really great to get feedback on what information will help people be successful. The way I want to focus on this is like introducing this new thing. I'm really respectful of the time people have put in building a skill set. And I want to help like broaden out how the skill set can be used in people's careers. Like that's the way I want to focus this area. And my dog thinks so too. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody joining today. This has been really great.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, James.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.